as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest. I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle.
Well, folks, 2025, as you saw and likely heard, is already off to one of the most insane starts yet. Because on just January 1st, one of the 2 terror attacks that happened in the country was a Tesla Cybertruck pulling up to a Trump hotel in Las Vegas and exploding. And we'll see a lot more from that news clip there in just a moment. But there are a lot of shocking new details about the suspect behind this Las Vegas Cybertruck bombing, and they are some pretty shocking details, including sources close to the suspect saying that he was a Trump supporter, very similar to the previous assassination attempts, which is very interesting, as well as that the suspect went apparently radio silent on their wife mere days before the explosion happened. Anyway, there is a lot to cover here, so make sure you drop a like and subscribe for all the news coverage you need to know in 2025, and let's get into it.
One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body.
Yeah, pretty disturbing stuff there. But apparently as well, according to the Daily Beast, the man suspected of being behind Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas was a, quote, big supporter of Donald Trump and voted for him in November, according to a senior law enforcement official. And that revelation came from an interview between Matthew Livelsberger's loved ones and investigators. His family also added that they believe the 37-year-old Green Beret who died in Wednesday's blast outside Trump International Hotel was a registered Republican. Again, very similar to the things we saw with the Donald Trump attempted assassinations from back during the summer. Registered Republicans, Trump supporters, seemingly mentally unwell. Remember all that talk about toning back the rhetoric from the right that they were throwing at Democrats? And obviously there's still a lot that is unknown about what made him do this, as we'll see in the upcoming clips. But obviously the truck was filled with explosives and miraculously only injured 7 people, and Livelsberger was the only fatality in the blast.
That has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport. And then furthermore, as you'll see here in just a very short period of time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to Las Vegas, and in a number of the photographs that we were able to determine, he was the individual that was driving the vehicle. And also, I'd like to iterate this point to you. We still have only ever seen him in this vehicle, and we're not aware of any other subjects involved in this particular case. Now, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's going on in the social media world, and there are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation. And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles. As far as his military background, it's been confirmed by DOD that he was indeed in the United States Army. He was also a Green Beret operations sergeant who spent most of his time at Fort Carson, Colorado, and in Germany. He was on approved leave from Germany where he was serving with the 10th Special Forces Group.
Right, so Livelsberger was a highly trained special operations soldier, multiple reports were revealed today, and he was stationed in Germany but was back stateside on approved leave. And it's crazy because he enlisted in the army when he was still a teenager, and he was just 1 year away from receiving his full military benefits, having served for 19 years. And then CNN's John Miller, the network's chief law enforcement intelligence analyst, gave telling insight into the blast suspect on Thursday, telling viewers that the suspect was highly trained in communications and electronic measures for bomb detections and intelligence operations. And there's obviously no clear motive yet, as you heard, but people are speculating that it was a political stunt aimed against Trump, obviously because it was at Trump's tower, but because of the added symbolism of it being a Tesla Cybertruck of the company that Elon Musk is the CEO. And we'll get into some of those speculations and concerns in just a moment, but it's also worth noting that apparently the suspect went radio silent on his wife days before the incident. Anonymous relatives of his spoke to CBS and noted that they knew that he had rented a Cybertruck in Colorado recently through a site called Turo, as you heard in the report, which works similarly to Airbnb for rental vehicles and was also used by the man who unalived 15 people in New Orleans on Wednesday. And it gets even weirder because then the report says that he appears to have at one point been married to Sarah Livelsberger, a 38-year-old who lives in Delray Beach, Florida, but it's unclear if they're still married, and she did not respond to requests for comment. Apparently her Facebook has been dormant since 2016, but makes multiple references to Livelsberger as her husband, including a post that said she was a registered Democrat, and she also made posts that embraced Barack Obama, who was still president at the time, so this is from a long time ago, obviously. And she also shared images that appeared to be critical of Donald Trump. Now, the speculation that has largely emerged online is that this was meant to be a political stunt against Trump. And that theory emerged largely because of the explosion's symbolics, right? The vehicle used, a Cybertruck, is Tesla owner Elon Musk's crown jewel of a vehicle, and we all know what's been going on with Musk and Trump. The article also goes into the man's conservative leanings and social media posts. I'll drop that link in the description down below. But the responses online largely centered around the same type of messaging. Like, if you were going to choose a metaphor for our current state of politics, a Tesla Cybertruck exploding and burning in front of a Trump tower in a city where millions of Americans go each year to lose their money is pretty spot on. Others adding, if a Tesla Cybertruck exploding at the entrance of Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas this morning isn't some sort of sign or foreshadowing of what we can expect in the near future, I don't know what is. And even conservative talk radio host Joe Cunningham saying a Cybertruck exploding outside of Trump Tower is a bit too on the nose for my taste. So that, folks, is the story thus far, the shocking new details that have emerged about the suspect in this incident. And that is where I will pass the question off to you. What do you guys think? Obviously, I think we can all agree about the symbolism behind this. It is frankly just insane how unhinged and dangerous things already seem to be before Trump has taken office. And whether we want to talk about who needs to tone back the rhetoric or who doesn't, I think it's kind of a moot point at this point because it's been happening and is happening and will continue to happen. So we're just going to have to learn how to live in this brave new world, unfortunately petrified all the time for all of our safety. If you have a more optimistic take, please, I'm happy to read it in the comments. But at this point, Happy New Year, be on your toes, you know? Anyway, we will obviously be following this story all along, updating you as we find more things out. So please make sure you're subscribed to the Really American channel for all of the news you need to hear in this new year. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I'll see you guys in the next one.